Hey, it's Ben, and this is Drambo by BeepStreet. This video is going to be about the, I guess I'm calling it GridPut, but it's, I guess what you would describe as, it's 16 delays. I'm calling it a matrix delay, because you kind of assign which delay gets input using this XY pad, or an LFO or a pair of LFOs that kind of modulate an X and a Y value. So the delays, there's 16 of them. They're all running in parallel. So they don't feed into each other or anything. But you can use this as like a regular, kind of like a strewn together looper. If you bring it down to like low tempo, you can use just like regular time divisions, like a bar, and get some length out of it. But you can also do really cool like polyrhythms, and especially when you start using the LFO, you get almost like granular sort of delay effects. So I'm gonna do a real quick little thing on guitar, and I can't talk during that because I have to like switch out my audio interface. But I'll explain what I'm doing while that's going on. But and I'll show you a couple other uses for this and kind of how it works. Okay, so I'm watching myself. So it has a delay input. So this is sort of where you can hear the. This is just like the dry sound. I'm using gain stage, the vintage guitar amp. So now I'm feeding into the delay. You'll see that feedback, I have two mouses now, feedback's turned all the way down. So right now I'm using the XY pad to like assign where I want delays to go. Now I'm turning feedback up apparently. So the delay that's assigned to this area of the XY pad is 1 bar, and I think I'm playing at like 40 beats per minute or something. And then I'm assigning input to another delay that's also set to 16 quarter beats or 1 bar. And then I'm just gonna play into another delay, and another one. And so some of these in this row, they're still time synced, but it's like kind of irregular length, like 7 or 9 quarters of a beat, something like that. And then this is the like looper setup. These delays in rows Y2 and Y1, their feedback is never 100%, so it won't infinitely repeat when you play there. And then what I've just done is turned the control for the delay input to the LFO. So now when I play anything, X and Y are just kind of scanning through values that are modulating the inputs, essentially, of all these different delays. So it's kind of random. But because each delay is separate in here, you can control the volume of like a row or a column really, or an individual delay if you wanted to. So you can record a bunch of stuff in and then kind of like sculpt it away afterwards and see if there's any interesting patterns there. I don't know. I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with this. And I'm sure a lot of people could build off of this and come up with other uses. So I'll get back to like live Dramboing. Okay. So now I am back to doing this live and not watching something that's happening and trying to guess what I was doing. I'm gonna just open up something to play in. An FM, and I have my MIDI keyboard set up, so I'm gonna play on that. Yeah, I think this is, doesn't really matter which one. So the basic controls for this, you've got the delay input, when it's all the way to the left, it's basically playing dry, so it's bypassing the delay. It doesn't turn the delay down, or like the loop down, but we're not feeding anything into any of the delays when this is turned to the left. When it's turned all the way to the right, it is going to feed into the delay. So next you have your LFOs and our XY pad, and either or both of these basically control which delays are getting fed their input. So all the way to the right, we're just using XY pad to like assign which delay gets its input. All the way to the left, just using the LFOs. And of course you can mess with the LFO speed and shape and all that stuff. There's a feedback control, so this is global feedback. When it's all the way up, if you haven't messed with anything else, all the delays will continuously loop. And then if you need to like clear out the loop, just turn feedback off until all of your audio goes away. And then you have basically your column control. So the way I'm doing this is X1, X2, X3, X4, and then Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4. I have my Y rows in layers, and then you'll see for each Y layer there's 4 X delays, and that's where the actual delay is. So I had to put the like X column controls before, but you have like volume of that loop or delay. You have the input volume, so you can turn that all the way down, and the loop can still sound, but it won't get any more input. And then you have feedback control also. So if you take, say, like X1 feedback all the way down, it doesn't matter that the global feedback is all the way up. X1 column, none of these delays are going to feed back at all. It's just going to be one echo. Okay, and then at the very end, you basically just have the layer mixer. So for each layer, you can mix the volumes of the delays that are there, individual delays, and then you can mix all of the 4 Y layers. That's pretty much it. So I'm just going to mess around with this. I'll choose another preset. I'm going to guess which one this is. And I'll want to shrink this up a little bit. I think it's the same one. Oh well. Here. This should be different. So, you know, you can do this as like a looper like I just did with guitar or any sound, but then it's also really good for like kind of weird polyrhythms. So if we just like put in a couple, so this will start looping. You can start really simple, and we'll just like find another loop. I don't know the length. So all of these delays are at different, they're like at slightly different rates. And so they'll come in and out of sync with each other, and they create these really cool rhythms as they play off each other. And then what's really fun is when you bring the, you know, with LFOs all the way to the left, XY pad doesn't matter anymore. And if I play something, it's kind of gonna like scan through. So this is gonna be pretty slow. So what I just played there, I can play a chord. It's kind of getting like plunked into different delays, and then it's going to play back at different speeds. If we speed it up a little bit, let's kill the feedback a little bit. So you can play in something really simple, and then you get this weird, goofy rhythms playing back that are really cool, and it's kind of unpredictable. You know, this isn't a random LFO, but it kind of ends up being random because you don't know where it is and how you're going to predict which delays it scans through. And then if you wanted to, now you can use both the XY pad and the LFOs. So what I could do is, like, say I don't want to modulate Y at all. So I'm going to turn that LFO off. So now it's just modulating on the X-axis. So it's going to go into one of these 4 delays. I don't know what's on those 4 delays, but I can play something. And, you know, maybe I want to clear one of these out. So I could clear, go into Y3 and just bring the row feedback all the way down. And I can play something in there. Turn it back up, yeah. And then if this gets just like too noisy for me, I can start bringing some of the columns or rows down. So this is really just like a kind of like mishmash of what I've played, and it's remixed it, not remixed it, but it's jumbled it back together. And I think it sounds really interesting. Like almost no matter what you put in here, it sounds kind of cool when it comes out. So something's happening on 2, totally different. And then you could go back and, you know, maybe like just put a drum sound on one of these. Add a little bit of order. And then, you know, after this, you could, if you just want to play over it, you can turn the delay input off, you can start noodling. You could sample it, you could use this to, you know, take it somewhere else. It's just a ton of fun. I don't know. So when you open it up, it's pretty big. There's not too much going on, but you don't have to mess with any of this stuff. These are basically what is used to like assign input into one of the delays. There's, you know, a shaper for each column and a shaper for each row, and the input is either coming from the XY pad, you'll sort of see it, XY or LFO. And when delay Y1, X1, when the shaper passes through both X1 and Y1, that's when that delay is getting its input. And so that's just a little bit of like a couple math modules, multiplies, and addition with a couple different things. Anyways, you can like deconstruct this if you want. You can mess around with like the window, so you could have like totally like narrow, and it'll like really cut your sound up, or you can have really smooth transitions, sort of like blend. And again, this part is just to use a knob control to adjust the volume or the input or the feedback of these different columns and rows of delays. And, you know, now you could start adding in effects to individual delays. You could just totally scrap the delays and you can put other effects here. It really doesn't matter. But again, I think this is a really fun sort of something that I'm not aware of existing in its form. So you can download it at Pet Storage. I have a couple like presets of it. One is set up as just like a regular looper. One is set up kind of for like some fun polyrhythm stuff, and then one is just like totally random nonsense, and it'll smear your sound around a bunch. Anyways, have fun.